We're live. I got the pop-up.
You got the pop-up already?
I did.
Oh
Yes.
boy. All right. Well, good. I'm glad you did because I didn't. So,
Yes, we are live, Scotty.
all right, Kelly, we're live. We're back.
Yes.
Oh, there's my pop-up. I guess, must be that slow internet up here in the mountains. I don't know.
Rough life.
Yeah, indeed. Well, hey, thanks for coming back. I think we skipped we were scheduled for 2 weeks ago. We had to skip it, which, obviously makes sense. We got a lot to do. As we talked about, not often, but we've mentioned before, we are both operators. So this is not necessarily like, this is just for fun, more or less, and hopefully add a little value to the community out there. Anybody who's joined, if there is anybody on yet, thanks for joining. Welcome back. I've got Kelly Sanchez, my biweekly conversation partner, the head of talent acquisition at DigiCert. Kelly, thanks again for coming.
Yeah, this is great.
And then, of course, you're on Scotty John's LinkedIn page in all likelihood, most likely not watching this on YouTube live. Then again, you never know. So, Kelly, per usual, and if for anyone who's watched in the past and is back, they'll know I've got to jump over to another screen. I'm going to make a comment on this live feed, just kind of let people know what we're talking about today. And then we can have people make comments, ask questions in the form of comments on the feed. Please do. We love to address your questions in real time, but we also have a full plan on what we're going to talk about. On that note, what we are going to talk about today is securing the best offer for yourself as a candidate for jobs. And on the flip side, securing the best candidate as a company for yourself. So there's a lot to unpack there. Obviously, we're just going to kind of keep it high level. But first things first, you've got a startup question and help give me a little time to go do what I have to do. So I'll turn it over to you here.
All right. Thanks, Scotty. Yeah, so super excited to talk about this topic. But if you've joined us before, you know that we have like an icebreaker, fun question to get us going while Scotty is practicing his tech skills. So the question for today, if you could have a celebrity, any celebrity best friend, who would it be? And this is tough for me because I have there's a couple that come to mind, but I would really love to have Lady Gaga as a best friend. Her fashion is out of control, but she can pull it off always. Amazing singer. I just think she would be so much fun to have as a best friend. And we would just be like laughing nonstop. But then I have like my Latina side and I need to be with like Becky G and Shakira and J-Lo. So yes, I think we should all just like have a big group, females together, empowerment. Those are my celebrities. So I'm picking a squad. I'm not even going to pick a celebrity best friend. Did I give you enough time? No? Okay. So maybe I should throw in some male celebrities. Who is funny? I saw Dave Chappelle recently. He came to Salt Lake City. He's hilarious. He would be fun to add to the group. Let's see.
That's a good one.
Right. I think laughing the whole time. He's so funny.
So, okay, Kelly, thanks for the question. And I think your answers are, I think they're great. I also don't think they're surprising since I know you. And I love that you're going to go with a squad. You're not just going to pick a best friend. This is a tough one for me too, because I'm like so far out of the loop of pop culture, et cetera. Feel like an old guy now with 2 kids, and the older they get, the more they make me feel like an old guy, which is to be expected, I guess. So I'm going to throw this one back. I've heard this guy is an absolute riot. I've also heard he's super down to earth. So to me, it feels like this is the one that would be like my best friend, if I could choose. And that's Bill Murray. As far as I know, he's not slowing down at all. He's getting up there a little bit, but like I said, he's kind of like my spirit animal in terms of how I feel these days.
Alive to right then. That was just the last line. Your spirit animal.
It's good. It's good. So yeah, that's who I'm going to choose. Bill Murray seems like a really cool guy. But again, thanks for that warm up question. Thanks for giving me a chance to jump into the feed and just reiterate to everybody watching what we're talking about today, which again, just to frame it up one more time, we're going to start with some ideas on if you're a candidate for a position, for a job, how do you kind of secure the best possible offer for yourself? And then the second half of the call today, we're going to talk about, as a company, how do you make sure and secure the best possible candidate for your open position? Again, this is super high level. We've talked about a lot of this stuff already, but I think this kind of, bringing it all together, and it's very relevant. And we'll get into why that is here in just a sec. So Kelly, the way I think we should kind of work through this is to basically start with like the ideas we came up with ahead of time, and then just kind of talk through them, because we're going to have to define a little bit about what we mean. So again, as a candidate, when you're looking for the best possible job for yourself, the first thing that you and I have talked about in the past that we agree is more important than anything else is really just defining what good looks like to you. Like, what are your top criteria in the next job you take? So what do you think? I mean, do you find, like, as you're talking to candidates, and I know you're not on the front lines as much these days, but when you're talking to candidates, do you find that people focus much on stuff outside of compensation? Do they think about their top criteria? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think compensation has definitely been top of conversation for a lot of it, which, hey, it's great. Take a new job, double the pay. Why not? However, I would just take a step back and really think about, I may be getting paid double the amount of money. However, is the company a good company and established? Also, how many hours am I going to be working? So we're going to get into more details of it. But to answer Scotty's question, really, compensation is an important factor, but I wouldn't say it's the top. A lot of what I've been seeing is the flexibility of being a hybrid schedule, not necessarily remote 100%, but just having that flex to be able to go into the office and make the choice if I want to, not, hey, it's mandatory, I need you to be X amount of days in office. And so I would say that's probably more what I've been seeing.
Well, to your point, so, and again, we've got a lot to get through, so we'll only be able to touch on everything here. But, I think oftentimes when I ask people, what are your top 3 most important criteria in the next job you take? The answer I get back often feels like it's kind of, they're coming up with it right then and there. And I just think it's super important because, to your point, if you get a job offer for a significant increase in compensation, are you going to be afforded the flexibility that you also want? Are you going to be able to, work remotely or asked to come back into an office? Is the environment the right one for you? The reason I should give a little context, the reason we're talking about this is because we're starting to see some of these startup companies that have offered a lot more money than a more established company like DigiCert, for instance. We're starting to see some layoffs, right? We're starting to see some cracks in, and every company's different, but there's a few pretty big examples recently, including the most recent example that I can think of, which is Robinhood. So, what else is important to you other than compensation? And then that leads to the second thing, which is like, think a little bit about the company itself. How established is the company? And what is their business model? What's their product market fit? I think a lot of people do think about these things, especially more kind of, what's the right way to put this? Professionally mature individuals probably think about this stuff. But I would argue for anyone, take a step back. If you're getting offered significantly more at a place than, a more established company, and maybe think about why that is, right? Mm-hmm. Cool. So, okay, another aspect of this, and this goes for both startups and more established firms. So as a candidate, when you're thinking about the best possible offer for yourself, what is the track record and history from the company that you're considering in terms of like layoffs, slowdowns, hitting their numbers, et cetera. Kelly, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I suspect that you know the answer to that question at DigiCert, right?
Yes, I do.
How often do you get asked?
I would say quite frequently, but more, yes. I would say it would be growth and development too. So in addition of just, hey, what's your track record as a company? Candidates want to know, hey, if I want to grow, what does that look like? Do you have a training program? Some companies do, some don't. So that's really asking the hard questions of what we're saying is understand what you want and what's important and ask the companies, doesn't matter startup or established, they should be able to answer those questions. And if they can't, hey, take a pause and question that a little bit.
Right. It's a red flag. Yeah. I mean, again, the implicit thing here is you've got to get paid the amount of money that you're, targeting, that you're comfortable with, et cetera. But again, it seems like the focus often is like this number is significantly higher, than that number. The final thing that I probably would put at the top of my stack ranking when it comes to, what's important to consider outside of the number being offered is the leader, the team, and the company culture. So we're going to bring this all together in terms of how you can secure the best offer for yourself, how you can actually get it. But right now, we're obviously just talking about questions that you should be thinking about. In terms of this last one, Kelly, what are some of your recommendations on how to vet that, especially like something like culture?
Yeah, I would say companies are doing a really good job about posting their culture on their webpage or on LinkedIn. Like, go check out their videos, go check out some awards that they've won. And really also the other thing, if you know anyone at the company, ask them. Even people who have left the company, go reach out to them. I will tell you right now, every company has the good, there has some bad in it. No company is perfect. So go figure it out from current employees and from people that used to work there.
Love it. Yeah. And again, some of this stuff might feel needless to say, but my sense today, the reason we're having this conversation is because this is something that's been top of mind in my recruiting efforts and in yours as well. I didn't mean to make this a commercial for DigiCert, because if you do go out and look at awards and, some of the videos, et cetera, that you guys are putting out, it's impressive. But let me pause real quick. I know, you don't want me to just make this about you and about DigiCert. Let me pause real quick and reintroduce.
Keep going.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, thank you so much. If you're just joining, or if you recently joined, you caught us in the middle of a conversation about how to secure the best offer as a candidate. And also we'll pivot here in a second on how to secure the best candidate as a company. I'm here with Kelly Sanchez, the head of talent acquisition at DigiCert, my biweekly conversation partner. Obviously, I'm Scotty John, working at KēSTA I.T. And yeah, so bringing it all together, we talked about a few things that people can ask about in terms of how you secure that best offer. Needless to say, you're going to have to bring your A game and prepare to interview. But I would just say, here's kind of the, tying it up neatly. Asking these questions is going to position you to a company as somebody who is going above and beyond. And generally speaking, just asking the question alone is going to signal to the company you're interviewing for that this is a great candidate. They're thinking about things beyond just, I need a job, I need a paycheck, et cetera, right? Anything else you would add on that?
No, absolutely. I think it's mutual. You have to be interested in, and it will show with the questions that you're asking.
Indeed. All right. One more thing I should mention: if you have any questions for Kelly and I around this topic, or anything else, frankly, feel free to pop them into the comment section. I'm monitoring that as we speak here on LinkedIn. We're going to move to the second part of this conversation, which is how to secure the best possible candidate for yourself as a company. So let's start at the kind of the quote unquote top of the funnel, Kelly. What do you think in terms of, getting as many people to either apply or get into, like, be sourced, so to speak, as candidates for a job? What do you think are some ideas around that?
The first thing I'll say from the company side is know what you want and know what are the nice to haves as well, especially when you're opening up positions. Because a lot of times I feel like, oh, someone left or new position, go ahead, open it up. And you don't really take a time to pause and see, hey, actually, we can probably repurpose this position or tweak it a little bit. Like, what's the need for now, and think future too. Totally. So that's what I say, like, know what you need. And then if the candidate comes with that and plus the nice to haves, hey, like, that's a good problem to have.
No doubt. Yeah. No, I think that's such a great, to your point, you want to start really from kind of first principles, right? You want to think about, to use your word, the business need, first and foremost. And I agree with you. It's if you're trying to fill somebody who left that had a very unique background, you may not know it's unique, but that individual brought this particular background and you're like, I just need that person again. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that can be really difficult. So you can do yourself a lot of favors by taking a step back, trying to identify the business need, trying to match up what is going to be most available on the market. The other thing you can look at is your process. I think in terms of securing the best candidate, obviously we're talking about once you've identified that person, but the best chance you have of identifying a really great person is to, have a wide pool to begin with. And your process really matters. So if it's a technical position, if you're leading with a technical assessment, this is from personal experience, it's anecdotal, but I can tell you fully 50% of the people I talk to, and they find out that there's an assessment before even having a conversation, they're not going to apply, right? A convoluted process, a lengthy process. Back to your point, Kelly, not knowing what you need as a company, all of those things are signals to the candidate pool, especially the best candidates, that you don't like, that's not a place I actually want to work, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree.
What else would you add? I want to get into candidate experience and what that means. Anything to add before we jump into that?
I would say, especially when it comes to the interview process, if you interview someone that's solid, that you really like, and you still have like 5 more interviews to go, like, what's the risk? Like, I kind of think, why not disrupt it a little bit, change from what you've been doing, and hire the individual?
Oh, come on.
Why not?
What a novel idea.
Because this is going to be another topic for us to discuss, because I think there's good interview processes. And then I think there's lengthy ones that could be updated. But if you found a solid person, why not hire them?
Yeah, no, I think you and I are preaching to the choir on that one. But no, I totally agree. So, okay. Real quick, thanks again if you're just joining us. Today we're talking about, we already covered, so if you missed it, you'll have to watch the first half of this video, which is of course recorded, and you can watch later. Right now we're talking about how a company can secure the best possible candidate for their open need. I'm with Kelly Sanchez, the head of talent acquisition at DigiCert. If you have any questions or comments, anything you want to add to the conversation, feel free to pop them into the comment section here on LinkedIn. But yeah, so moving into candidate experience, I've said this before and probably on these lives, I feel like candidate experience, which basically what we mean when we say that is from an initial outreach or from an initial application through to the very end of either being declined for the position or offered it. That's what we're talking about when we're referring to candidate experience. And it's a marketing campaign. It's, those people are obviously potential employees. They're also people who know other people that could be potential employees. They're potential referrers of other employees to your company, and they could be customers, potential customers. So it's super important. And it is in fact you have to do it anyway. So it's basically free marketing unless you screw it up. So what does good look like when it comes to candidate experience?
Yeah, I would say treat people with respect, honestly, and treat them like your customers, because you know you're treating your customers, taking care of them, showing them some love. Do the same thing with your candidates as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a great way to put it succinctly. Hiring managers, of course, don't want to, treat people disrespectfully, but I think oftentimes we forget when we're in a hiring manager position that this is not commodities. This is not like we're not talking about a product. We are truly talking about people. Yeah. And yes, when someone is in your process and they're interviewing for your job, they should be proving themselves to you. But again, especially in this market right now and how competitive it is, you are also proving yourself to them. It's an interview both ways, both directions. So I think, to your point, Kelly, treating people with respect, literally the golden rule. It's so simple, but obviously not so easy because it gets screwed up a lot, right?
Yeah. And if you do screw up, hey, apologize, own it. Don't just make excuses and, oh, sorry, or this or that.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah, well, that must have been those recruiters.
Right. What are they doing? That's another topic.
Indeed. Okay, so a couple of other little tips here on how you can secure the best candidate. Once you've kind of identified who that candidate is, again, in this market right now, we're seeing a ton of competition, whether it's an internal counteroffer from a candidate's current employer, or they're interviewing elsewhere and they have other offers, you're likely going to be competing for this person. So one thing you can really do that I think it doesn't cost anything. Well, it costs a little bit of time, but it goes a really long way. Have the leader, whomever that person will report to, be actively involved in the process. And it can be simple, a text message or a quick phone call saying, how are you feeling? What are you thinking? We're making you an offer, or the offer's already been made. What are your thoughts? Any questions I can answer? Just having a manager who is invested and proves that they're invested by reaching out. Again, simple, but doesn't happen often. What other thoughts do you have on that leader involvement in the process, Kelly?
Oh, 100%. I think it's already starting you and the new hire off, potentially hop on the right foot if they accept. Mm-hmm. And you're already starting the connection as well. So no, I think you put it well.
Cool. All right. We've only got one more thing to cover here, and then we're going to wrap things up today. But for those of you who have just joined us, or those of you who've been on and just are a little bit bashful, if you have questions, feel free to just drop them into the comments section, or for that matter, any comments that you have. Kelly and I are happy to address those in real time. Otherwise, we're gonna hit this last maybe obvious thing, and then we're going to sign off. So, all right, we got a great comment. Thank you for the yes. Okay, just last thing that I think we should mention, again, maybe feels needless to say. We talked earlier about, as a candidate, when you're comparing offers and you get like a crazy great cash compensation and or equity compensation from a startup versus, maybe a company that's a little more established coming in a little lower. At the end of the day, you do have to make a competitive offer, right? Like that, there's just no way around it. And again, it doesn't have to be top dollar. What are the other aspects of it that you can offer somebody, whether it's benefits, a bonus, a sign-on bonus? There are things that you could do to be creative. Kelly, I've seen you do this. You're one of the best at it. What other thoughts do you have around making a competitive offer in this market?
The first thing that I will say, hopefully you know at least what range, what the expectation is for the candidate. Don't lowball. Like, I know there's budget. I know that there's numbers that you have to think about, but recruiters hate doing it. I don't want to lowball the candidate. It devalues them. So yes, to Scotty's point, like, get creative if it's talking about maybe the benefits or sign-on bonus or whatever there is, to make it a competitive offer, because you want to at least be going and playing with the other companies. But if not, I will just go ahead and just be shameful and just like leave the room with an offer, not even extend it. So that's what I have to say about offers.
I love it. It's true. I mean, on the one hand, you might think you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Just make the offer, even though it's not close to what they want. To your point, Kelly, I think that that really will hurt you in the end. So if you know that the person is outside of your range, you know that like you're far enough off and can't come up with, again, a sign-on bonus or whatever else you might be able to extend, it's probably just best to wish them well and say, we couldn't compete for you, but let's stay in touch because we really enjoyed the conversation, right? Otherwise, I think you put it really well in terms of understanding what they're looking for and just trying to get as close to it as you possibly can. If you're not going to be able to match some of these well-funded startups out there in the world today. All right. I think that's it. We got some comments. Thanks for the comments. But no questions this time around. We've come up on just under 30 minutes, but I feel like we covered it all. Awesome. Anything else, Kelly, before we sign off?
No, this was a good conversation. And like we always say, go ahead, DM us, send us messages about future topics and everything, because that's a lot of the times where we get our content and discussions for every biweekly chat.
That's right. Yeah, we're trying to make this relevant to what's going on in the world today. So if you have any thoughts on a potential topic for us to discuss, like you say, Kelly, please just feel free to send them to us or even drop them in the comments here on this live feed. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Thanks again.
Cool. Bye.